Hello all and welcome to Crochet Designs. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are lining our gorgeous hexagon bag that we have been creating over the past 2 weeks. Now as you can see it's a little bit of a disheveled mess but I'll show you the reason why I've got a gazillion buttons here. We're not using all those buttons. I just couldn't pick one. So I'm going to do a process of elimination in a minute. But in the meantime, for this tutorial, you will need, and I've got to show you like this because it's a really tiny sewing needle. Yeah, you will need that, and you will need some sewing thread. See how thin that is? You may need it a bit thicker. I'm thinking of doubling it anyways. You will need your crochet hook. You can either, oh, that's a 3, we don't want that. You can either use a 4.5 or a 3.5. We used a 3.5 for the handles and we used a 4.5 for the actual hexagons and to create the bag. I think I may stick to a 4.5. I'd like to highlight the little flap anyways, so there you go. All right, so I want to make it nice and thick. You'll need some chalk to help mark your lining. I just found this pink pencil. I don't have any chalk. You will need obviously some lining, the size of your bag, doubled obviously, and you will need big scissors to cut your lining and a small scissors to cut your thread. I'm just going to use the big scissors just for fun. I'm going to move everything out the way and the lining, I'm going to move that out the way as well. Process of elimination. Look at all these buttons. Now I didn't have anything blue to use, so I didn't know what to use. So what we're going to do is lift this up because that usually helps show the colouring a bit more. So we're going to take out what we don't want. This is far too white. I'm going to get rid of that one. This is what I call process of elimination. All right. This kind of a grey. No, don't want that one either. These two are exactly the same for starters anyway. They're a little dark, but I'll get rid of the first one for starters, but I'll hang on to that one. Okay, I've got a bit of hair there. We'll just save that for later. And these two are very similar. They're just different sizes. So what I'll do, I might make my button fairly big. So far we've got these two. Oh, they're not in stock. They're not in stock. They're not in view. Hello. So definitely in stock. Okay, so that means if we've already got one of those, look at that, we've already got one of those, so we'll get rid of that. We do have this one here, which is rather nice. We'll keep that up there as well. Then there's this one. Oh, no, I don't like this one. You've got your normal wooden button. Oh, these two are the same, so we'll get rid of one. Then you've got this one, which I think was similar. It's not the same as the other one, but it's a little bit similar to the other one. No, I don't want that either. And of course, we've got one of these. I don't think it matches anything. Get rid of that. See, this is exactly the same as that one. Oh, it's a little tiny bit darker. We'll get rid of the lighter one, I think. Pop that darker one there. Yeah. And then you've got this tiny little one. That's so cute. No, you know what? Too small. And this one here, I actually liked the look of this one when you see it in life form, not so much in the camera. Let's get a close up. You've got those little dots on there. I really liked that, but I'm going to get rid of that because I don't think it's big enough. This is not big enough either. Okay, so we've got these 4. And there you go. Well, these two are very similar, so pop them together and see what the difference is. Okay. I don't know. Did you like that? Oh, I'm done now. I don't know. Let's get rid of all of that. And the very first choice I made was that wooden button before I went on air anyways. So you know what? Let's just stick with what we know. You like that? All right. So there's our process of elimination. Now, doing the lining to your bag, really, we should have measured our bag on the lining before we put the handles. However, I'm not too worried about it, okay, because the lining itself is really, really big for me. All right, so all you need to do is double your lining. So fold it 2 pieces together, grab your bag, pop it on your lining like so. Okay, I'm just thinking that might be a little bit too I'll pull it over here a little bit more. Now I use this lining for one of our other bags that we created here on Wow Crochet Designs, and I will pop a link in a description box to the other bag that we created. I don't have it here with me at the moment, but I'll pop a link to the playlist of that bag, and you can actually head over and try that one as well if you like. Okay, so grabbing your marker and just give yourself, I don't know, maybe a finger's worth. Let's get it closer. A finger's worth, if you will. I'm going to do that all the way around. You can use a measuring tape. Oh, that doesn't look very good. You can use a measuring tape if you like. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to do a rough version. Now that finger's worth that you are doing, that is going to be folded, so it's going to be literally your sewing is going to be close to the bag anyways, so give yourself leeway to sew your bag. All right, this is all you're doing, rubbing your little finger and going around and around and around all the way. You can use a measuring tape if you like I said. Don't be too fussy, because at the end of the day, this is going to be inside your bag. This is the way some people sew. Hence the word some people. I think her name's Mary. I don't know who she is. You like that? All right. So just keep doing that. Right. Before you go on, turn your work gently around, because you don't want to move your bag. Make sure that's straight, okay, because this is a really important part, because we are going to sew along here. All right, so you've got your little finger or your measuring tape. All right, but probably better off being straight rather than curve. And just check that there. Once again, you can use your measuring tape if you want. Give yourself, I don't know, an inch, 1.5 centimeters, 2 centimeters from the top of your bag out, just so you've got some sewing room. Okay. Now, here is where it gets a little tricky. If you want, you can just grab your handles, because see the top of your blue there, the top of your handle right there. Grab your little finger and just go across that way. Going to give yourself plenty of leeway. All right. There's no right or wrong way of doing this, really. You don't have to be too fussy. Like I said, it is going to be... Whoops, that didn't work. It went too high up. It is going to be just a rough measurement. Okay. Okay, I know the rest, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not going to use my finger anymore, because I know exactly what I'm doing now. So there it is. There's your little line. I've made a mess there. And just go down all the way. Oh, that didn't work. Ugh. Hello, wake up, Mary. All right, here we go. Hopefully that sun doesn't bother us too much now. Okay, been a very busy day today, guys, so I didn't get a chance to actually... I can take this off now, and I'm going to go around and close up now. I didn't actually get time to record, so I'm recording late afternoon when the sun comes in this room right here. But you don't need to worry too much about this part. All right, this is a part where you just need to make sure you cut, bring that out, make sure you cut 2 pieces of it. Now these scissors are very, very blunt. Wait right here. Okay, I'm back. Found a pair of scissors that work. Well, they kind of half work. It doesn't matter. All right, here we go. Go around. I'm not going to let you sit here and watch me cut it, but go right around and cut right on that line, because we've already given ourselves, this is the worst scissors ever, we've already given ourselves some leeway. So go ahead and cut right on that line, and I shall meet you back here in a moment. Alrighty guys, and there we have it. Alright, so like I said, we probably should have put the lining on before we did the handles. Never mind. You live and learn, you live and learn. Alright, so grab yourself a needle. I weaved, let's try threaded. I threaded this guy off air because I was a little worried about how thin that little eye was right there. This thread is extra thin, so I've doubled mine. Okay, if you've got thick cotton, then you just need one, but I have actually doubled it. And what we're going to do, oh, have I cut it? I haven't even cut it yet. Hello, Mary, get it right. Worried about not being able to see the eye. I can't even see the thread. Now be good, be good. Where is it? There. All right, we're under control. Can't even see the thread. All right, so here we go. Now, all right, so what you do now is you take off your little baggie, like so. Oops, that wasn't supposed to happen. And you just grab, after we're going to be doing some cutting in here, but for now, all I want you to do, actually you can see what we need to do here. I'll make a little mark here, little asterisk in that corner right there of one of your sides. Yeah, little asterisk down here. Well, it's not really very good asterisk. One in here. Don't worry too much about this. You're not going to see this, going to be inside the bag, literally inside the bag. You won't see this. All right, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 asterisks. That's to show you exactly where I want you to sew to. All right, so your first one. Grab your thread and just make a little knot in your thread, just a little one. Don't stress too much if it's not that big. When we put it through the bag, we will be sewing over it again, not over it, we'll be sewing around the top part. You'll work that out later, but in the meantime, make yourself a couple of knots. See how many I've done? Because this thread is so thin, I don't even know what I'm doing. There it is. It's a little knots. All right, so remember how many millimeters, centimeters that you left? I left a finger. So all I'm doing is grabbing my needle to the very, very top. Actually, not to the very top. Drop it down to, oh, that was too far away. Let's see where you are. Exactly where your asterisk is. So maybe a finger off the top, like a finger off the top, and a finger across is exactly where my asterisk is. And that's where I want you to start sewing, right there. I might move mine a bit over, like that. I don't think my finger was that big. Or maybe it was. And all you're doing is going in and out like that. Pop it in and through to the other side, and that's all you're doing. And then you pull it through, and there you go. And that's exactly what you're doing. Now, if you feel the need to draw a line along here, you can. I'm just going to be using my fingers because that's how I did the measurements before in the first place. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go back into that section there in the same spot or a spot before, and when you come out this time, you come out a little bit further down than your first bit. So you're moving, what's it called? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's what I like to call it, okay? Just being wary about the space that you have left here. So let's go to the 1 step back and 2 steps forward. I'm going to close it up a little bit because I think it's a bit too wide for me here. All right, so I'm going to close that up a little bit for me. And we're getting closer to the edge. That's what I want. I think it's too, well, no, that's not really that bad. There you go. I'll still stick with this section right here. 1 step back and 2 steps forward. All right, so leave yourself a little space in between on both sides of the thread that's already there. And that's all you're doing. You're going to do that and get down to your first asterisk, and I shall meet you there. All right, just keep going all the way down to that very first asterisk, and I'll meet you there. Alrighty guys, I hope you are actually moving along with your curve. Remember, I forgot to mention that earlier, but I'm sure you knew what you were doing. Going around the curve. Now I had to restart my thread because, you know what, I didn't have enough thread. So if your bag is as big as mine, put a lot of thread on your needle, because that didn't even last me half a side. Look, I got 3/4 of the way down, and hello. All right, so now when you're getting to your curve, and that just pinned me. Shh, don't tell anyone. Oh, I didn't get in too far. Oh gosh. All right, so now when you're doing your curve, just remember to really curve in. Follow the curve around. Don't go straight and then go that way. Follow the curve around, because your bag is curved. It's not straight, it's curved. All right, so curve around your little asterisk, curve right around it. And there you go. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. You know, I'm no big sewing expert, so I'm a crochet expert. Oh, you like that? I'm not a sewing expert, I'm a crochet expert. But I can do some sewing. I do prefer to use a sewing machine, to be honest with you, because it's straighter than I am, as you can see. This, once again, is inside the bag. No one's going to see how crooked it is in there. Only you will know. You and a million other people watching this tutorial. All right, here we go. So what I want you to do is continue along in this manner, getting yourself up to here, your next asterisk, going straight into your very next asterisk. When you get to here, make sure you stop around. Let me show you. Make sure you stop around there. You know, finger off the top and a finger on the side, stop around there, all right? And then we will meet up and we'll get ready for what we're going to do next. Good luck, guys. Alrighty, guys, I've made an absolute mess. Look at all mine's creased. All right, now, let's just blow that up. All right, so you can see what I'm doing. We started from, as you know, there. We worked all the way down to there and around, and we're right up here, yes? I've done my very last, my very last 2 steps forward, right? So I'm just going to go 1 step back and then back into the 1 step, no more 2 steps. All right, just pop that needle through a little bit, wrapping your thread around your needle a little bit. 1, 2, 3, whatever, 4, whatever you want. All that's doing is forming a knot. We're going to tie this off now. Give it a tug. Make sure you tug it before you do what I just did. Okay, and there's your knot. Now, to be secure, just pop your needle through there, straight through to the other side, and do exactly the same. Just do a little bit there, like so. And then you 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, 3, doesn't matter, 3 or 4, doesn't really matter. Pull it through and you've got your 2 knots. All right, giving your work a little cut about there, a couple of little mils away from it. All right, now hang on to your needle. You're going to attach your thread soon, but not yet, and I'll tell you why. We actually should have done the latch to our bag before we started the lining, but that's okay. We haven't done that much yet, so move your lining out of the way. We're going to start the latch of our bag right here, right now. All right, so you can grab any hook you like. I'm going to start off with our 4.5mm hook that I used for the bag. Just remember, we did use a 3.5 here. If you wanted to make yours a 3.5, you know, with a 3.5mm hook, your latch will become over, it'll be very thin. And I want to make mine nice and thick, all right? So I'm going to pop my hook into, let's get a nice close up here for you. Oh, wait, we'll do it again. That's the middle, yes, but that's the knot that the fancy knot I did with you guys. My knot at the back is sitting right there and it's sticking up and I don't like the look of it. So what I'm going to do is start from, remember our double crochets, start from the top of that stitch above the double crochet and work 8 stitches across. And what we are doing is, and I can get my thread, we're just grabbing our thread, pulling the loop through. Is that too close? There you go. Pull the loop through like so, yarn forward, just to lock it into place. Again, not necessary. Chaining 1 and single crochet in the same stitch. Now you know what that is. I'm just going to move this out of the way. You know what that is because you've been doing it all along, so that's good. So that's your first single crochet. I'm going to crochet over my tail, okay? Your second single crochet in your second stitch, third in your next. Drop that tail now, you don't have to. Fourth, fifth, sixth, 7 and 8. Yes, oops, pull that 8 through and that's what you should have. Now you're going to chain 1, turn your work. Well, it's going to get a bit busy here, so I'll just bring it forward that way. Now we're working along these 8 stitches. Single crochet in your first. I forgot to put stitch markers, which we'll do if you like. Second, you may not need it. Third. Sorry guys, the bag keeps falling now. Fourth. Fifth. Sixth. 7. You probably won't need it because you can see that last one right there. 8. Chain 1. Turn your work. Now this row right here that we just did, we are going to repeat this row 15 times over and over and again until we get to our 15th row from here. So 15 more rows from this spot right here. Meet me back here and we'll work on a buttonhole. Alrighty guys, here I am at the end of my rounds. Now I, to be honest with you, lost count after about the 13th or the 14th, I can't even remember, 15th row. So what, it doesn't really matter. What I want for your little flap to do is to pass over and that, right, the top of that last row that you did needs to land flat bang in the middle of the dot, you know, the little dot part of your middle hexagon there. However, just imagine that you have your bag filled with gear. How much of a gap do you want in between your bag? I think that's plenty. So if you wanted to, you can slide your hand in, but you shouldn't. You should actually open up the flap here. So there we go, but that doesn't matter. Lay your bag flat and have a look-see, making sure, like I said, that the top of here lands flat bang in the middle and gives a gentle lift here. Once we fill up our bag and it comes out, if you don't leave a little bit of leeway, that is going to pull when you fill up your bag. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it like that and I'm going to start the buttonhole section now. Now this is the area you need your button for a minute. Okay, hopefully you're not as tangled as I am. I've got the handle's tangled with the yarn and it's a big mess. All right, first things first, we're going to start off by decreasing the round as well as add buttons. So turn your work, skip that first stitch, jump into your next stitch with a single crochet. Go into the next one with a single crochet. And from here, we are going to chain 1 and 2. Then we're going to skip these next 2 single crochets, jump straight into the 3rd one, like so. Before you continue, grab your button. Let me just bring that up a little bit. And make sure that your button fits through there. All right, mine does. If the hole is not big enough, you need to leave 3 chain spaces. If the hole is too big, just leave 1. So now we're going to skip that space there and jump straight into your last stitch. Whoops, like so. Chaining 1 like normal. Turning your work. Oh, I'm going to knock off the stand. Okay. All right. From here, you are putting a single crochet in your 1st stitch, single in your 2nd, and in that chain space, you are doing 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. Then you are doing a single in the 3rd, a single in your 4th, chain 1, turn your work. Okay. From here, you are skipping the 1st one. So we're reducing again in this row. Skip that 1st one, jump into your next one with a single crochet 1, single crochet 2, single crochet 3. And before you do the 4th one, you skip that stitch, you jump straight into your last stitch with a single crochet. Chain 1, turn your work. From here, you're doing a single crochet in the next stitch, single in your next, and your next, and your very next, chain 1, but you're pulling up that loop before you cut it. This is what I want you to do. Check your work. All right, because we're going to do a final round there, but after it's cut. Okay, and you'll know what I mean when you see it. Okay, so that is where your button will be, and that's where your buttonhole will be. Do you want that loose there, or do you want that tighter? If that is the case, you need to take all this undone, undo 2 rows and make that tighter. I'm going to leave mine a little loose because I want to be able to fit some stuff in the bag. All right, that's where I'm going to leave mine. You can change yours to suit whatever you like. All right, so from here, I'm going to cut the thread. I'm not going to weave that in yet. No, because we're going to go back and finish off this section here. All right, so as you know, we started here, yes? So what we're going to do, we're going to restart there yet again. All right, the stitch that we started in, we're going to pop our hook in that stitch right there. And that is exactly where we started. We're going to grab a thread, pull a loop through. You'll have a few ends to weave in, but it's neither here nor there considering how many ends we've already weaved in. Chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch as your chain 1. Oh, I did that too loose, sorry. Let's try that again. Don't do it too loose. Single in the same stitch that you just did and make sure it's fairly tight. Grab your tail end if you want to weave it in. I'm not going to because I want to weave it in down there. I don't want to crochet it up towards the flap. I want to weave it into the bag. All right. Now, like we did with our handles, your first stitch right there, you single crochet 1. And then every tiny itty bitty space you come to, 1, 2, 3, and so on, all the way across your round. That one was a very tight stitch. Make sure I've got the right hook size. Yes, I have. Well, knowing me, I've picked up the wrong hook, but no, not really. Good. Okay, and get to that very first corner. All right. You will come to that slip stitch soon. Well, not a slip stitch. What was it called? The skipped stitches soon, which is around here. So keep going there. All right, and there we are. That's our buttonhole. That's our first skip stitch. We're going to go in there like normal. There's our next stitch there like normal. Our skipped stitch, or is it just a normal stitch there? Sorry. Get it right, Mary. And then you've got this last row. Pop your hook in the top of that stitch. Yes. And now you do 2 more single crochets in the same stitch. So 1 and 2. And then you single crochet 1 in the next one, 1 in your next one, and there's your knotted one. Okay, you're going to do 3 single crochets in there. You can crochet over that tail or whatever you want to do with it. 1, 2, 3, and that's forming your corner. So it's actually turning your work around. Then you jump into that very next stitch with 1 into your next. Wherever you see a tiny space, oh, I'm sorry about that. Wherever you see a tiny space, you're jumping in there like so, all the way across the other side. It's very, very simple. You've done this before with the handles. And what this is going to do for you is it's going to close up your buttonhole flap so that way it looks neat. Okay. Nearly there. And I'm rushing it so that we can get there. Because this is kind of almost it, guys. Once you put the button on, the last bit is attaching your lining to the bag up the top, and then you're done, which won't take very long. All right, we are there towards the end of the row, right there. Single crochet in that stitch right there. All right, now single crochet in the very next stitch that you started or ended with, if you think about it. Ended your last row with, your first row with, there, and you are just going to slip stitch into the next stitch just to tie off your yarn. Give it all a cut, and your flap is done. You will need to weave in all those ends, which I'm sure you know how to do now since you've done a whole bag. Okay, let's have a look-see. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, paid not to put those handles on, hey? All right, let's just tuck those ends in and pretend like they're weaved in. You're going to weave them in for sure. And the same with that. And then you pass your flap over like so. There's your little center. Your button is going to go inside that flap right there. All right? That's where your button is going to go, and that's where mine. I'm so glad I chose this one now. I wasn't sure before, but I'm pretty glad I did. All right, so now, before you attach your lining, you need to pop your button here. Right flat bang in the center of that hexagon. So, with this one, you're going to grab your normal yarn for this, because it does look nice when you use your normal yarn rather than the cotton. All right, so we are going to use our normal yarn using our yarn needle. Like the other one was a sewing needle, and this is the yarning needle. Okay, we're going to use our yarn needle. Oh, where's the yarn? Oh, here it is. Okay, so you just need like, I don't know, very little bit, not much, like that. Just a little bit, double it, and there you go. All right, first thing you're going to do, grab your yarn needle. All right, so you've pulled your thread through. You've got a longer thread and a shorter thread. That's what you need. Making sure that's your button, that's your flap, and this is the side we're putting the button on. Not the side of the flap, but the side of nothing on it. Now what you do is you pop your needle, not in the center. Oh, let me show you. Not in the center of your work, but on one of the sides. Now the reason is because I have a 4-hole button. Yes. So I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, and 4 to sew into. Plus you don't want to put it in the middle in case, it just comes through. All right, now you pull that through, leaving yourself a little tail there. All right. Then you grab your button, popping it through any one of the holes. It doesn't matter at this stage. Only making sure you only have 1 thread and not the 2 threads in the buttonhole. So where my button is now, oops, let me fix up the button completely. That is the way it should look. Yes? So now we're up the top, we're going to go down to the bottom one on the same side as your, let's see if I can get it close up for you, there, as your button. Pop it in there. Yes, just pull that thread through like so. Yes, then you're up the top with your thread. You want to pop your needle down the bottom part of that center. On the right hand side still, pull your work through, not too much because remember you still have that loose thread, you want to keep that there, and just straighten up your button a little bit. Yes, then from here you're still on the bottom, so you're going to stay on the bottom but go to your opposite side. So find a stitch in your opposite side that you can go into. Oh, that's far too far away. Okay, nice, and find that little stitch right there. Making sure you're not touching that knot. Go into the bottom of your button. So you're just kind of doing, you know, a four-way thing happening. Yeah, going from one section to the other. Tighten it up a little tiny bit. Again, not too much because we have a knot at the other side. Go through the top and straight in through to, no, that didn't work. In fact, I might just go through the top of the button so we don't end up in the hole for the first section. And then to the top of that left-hand side, pull your needle through. You have already now fastened your button. So we went in through here just now. That's the final part. We don't want to come back in through here to go across because it's going to take our work undone. We could go across in there, or we could go crisscross at the back, which I think it would be so much better. So go all the way down to the bottom, right down the bottom of your button. I just went through the work first. So you're going into the bottom of your button. It's going to be a lot tighter now, okay, because there's not much space now that we've put the thread in. Go through the button this way. Yep. Then we're going to go across the fourth section. So we're going this way now, the top and the bottom rather than the sides. So you're going through the bottom. Nice tight bottom. And you're going to go up through this section right here. Like there. Yes. It's really tight. And you're going to go across into that last section and you're done with your button. Maybe you didn't need so much thread. But what we do, take your needle out. Oh, no, don't take your needle out. I did. Don't. All you needed to do was make a knot here first. Just like that. Just a knot. And these threads need to be weaved in, which we're going to do in a minute. So you probably shouldn't have taken your needle out like I did. I'm just going to show you this thread. Now, if you wanted to, because the lining is going to be in here, you don't have to weave that in. However, I find with bags like this, if you don't weave it in occasionally, it flips out through a hole somewhere. So I would rather weave this in, even if you only weave it in a little tiny bit, like, you know, just a few stitches, and then cut it. But make sure you've given yourself enough leeway. And if you wanted to sew your button on after the lining, you can, but it kind of pulls and tugs, which is the reason why I sew it on before the lining. That's all I'm doing for weaving in ends there. Yep. Grabbing your other end and weaving that in as well. All right, any way you like, and just very little, because you are going to be lining this, so you won't see it as much, or making sure you're not seeing the needle from the front. Okay, making sure you can't see that. All that hard work, and then you forget, and then you put your lining on, and then it's done. So there's my little thread right there. I'm even going to leave a tiny little thread. I don't even have to worry about that tiny little one because of the lining. All right, so that's that. So now is the best time before you put your lining on to try your button and before you weave in any ends. To me, I love that so much, I'm happy. Okay, ta-da, there you go. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Yes? Before you start doing the rest of the lining, you must weave in all your ends. So go ahead and weave in all these ends, and I will meet you back here in a moment, and we will attach the lining finally to the bag. Alrighty guys, I just did mine up just for the sake of it. That's how it should look, but there you go. All right, so now we're going to line the rest of the bag. This is the tricky part of lining, because we have to get into our corners. So our bag has to come across here, go down here, we have to sew in the bottom, go around, and you can't actually do a circly kind of semicircle kind of sew. You literally have to sew that way, point it, and sew the other. That's easy to do, but not with the way the lining is. Okay, so before we do any sewing, we have to trim some of this, not a lot, just a little bit. If it's too big, always check your lining first. Pop it inside your bag. So straighten it up, make sure it is wide enough for your bag, and I think mine's plenty, because your bag might stretch. It may not now that we're putting the lining in there. Okay, all right, so the way it's going to be is like that, pretty much like that, right? So you have to sew along here, get down here, sew in there and across, which is okay. But when you are folding your work in, because we have to sew like that, because you don't want it to be, ruffled. The minute you get here, you've got this look and it doesn't work. So here's a little bit of sewing technique that you may have to take out of your bag to do, because you don't want to cut your bag. You need a pointy pair of scissors or a small pair of scissors to do this part. Pop your lining together, make sure it's straight, there's nothing's out of place. All right, these little corners you see right here, these two, and actually all four, 1, 2, 3, and 4, they need to be cut a little bit, not a lot, very, very minimal. I don't know how many millimeters. Remember, when we were sewing, I left a finger. So what you want to do is cut just before the tip of the finger. So I'll show you mine, so don't cut yet until you see it. You go into the corner like that, and then you do a little corner like that. That's probably too small, all right? But there's my finger. So when I fold over, I'm like that. When I fold over, I'm like that. And it's given it a little bit of leeway. But when you sew it in, you've got to make sure you get into that little bit. And the way we're going to do that is by actually using pins. Okay, I forgot to mention we did need pins. I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning of the tutorial. So grab yourself a handful of pins, 10, 5, 15, 20. I don't know how many we're going to use yet because I haven't measured it up to the bag, which I probably should have before we started. So, So do yourself a favor and just cut it a tiny little triangle, very, very small in all 4 corners. And I mean very small, like just a little like that. It's half of your finger was. You know how your finger was like that, right? It's kind of not even half. It's like a little tiny bit. Gives it a bit of a space to split, all right? So it splits it. But if you pull it too tight, you're going to end up cutting right into it, and it's going to be too small for your piece. So very, very small bits right there. And all 4 sections. And I'll show you once we're done what it looks like. This is where the dressmaking skills came in. So what it's done there is given it a bit of a stretch now. We can stretch it a little bit. This hasn't come undone, that one. I don't want to pull it too much or it'll fray. See? And it's given it a little tiny bit of stretch. All right, you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Mine's a little bit crooked here, but don't worry about it. It's my bag, don't worry. All right, so grabbing your bag, very tricky part, this one. Before you do, give your work a little bit of a trim. You don't really want that thickness in the bag. It's up to you. You can if you want. You can leave it there. I'm going to trim it a little bit. I don't want it to be that thick in my bag. All right, so give your work a trim and I'll meet you back here in a moment. All right, we're all trimmed up. Now grabbing your bag. Okay. Again, this is the most trickiest part of making your bag. This is the trickiest part. The rest was easy. I know you're thinking, what? Well, actually, if you are really good at sewing, this won't be that hard for you. But if you're anything like me, oh no, I'm not bad at sewing. I just, I'm not that good at it. You like that one? I'm not bad, I'm just not that good. All right. Now, what you're going to do is you need to, if I can split it, here we go. You need to attach your bag to your section. Now what you're going to do, fold that top one first in, yep. Get the top of your bag. See your line right there where we finished? That's where you need to pop this section here. Now you're just folding it a little bit, like that, making sure both sides are even, so you've got some sides on both sides, yeah. This is just, we're not doing it, it's not complete. This is just to pop it in place so it doesn't move around while we do pin them all down. Couldn't get it out then while we do pin it all down. Hello. So all we're going to do is pin all four sides for the moment. Where is it? That top of that. It's the top of that row of double crochets there. Okay. Making sure you're giving yourself plenty of leeway so you can work with it later. Turn your bag around, do exactly the same. Oh, where is it? There it is. Oh. Top of the bag. Is that it? Yes, that's it. Right there. Top of the bag. And on the other side, top of the bag. Like so. Where is it? Not even in frame. Sorry, guys. You're thinking, come on, woman, get it right. Here we go. All right. That's the tops done. Now you've got to work on your sides. See how we split that on purpose? We split the corners to give us a little bit of stretch for this section. So we'll start here since this is where we're looking. You need to fold that over and fold that corner bit over, and it all has to line up exactly in the middle there. And it's probably not going to, so you really have to mess with it a little bit. Jiggle it around, play with it, and already I'm starting to feel a bit more comfortable. So you're going to get one needle and pop it in. Like so. Alright. Now later, you have to make sure, oh, too far away, let me get close. You have to make sure you sew over this section. So I would push it a little bit more in for this part. You're now going to come across there. That's where our flap is. If you're on the other side, it doesn't matter. Either way, bring it down, pass it in the middle. It's got to be right flat bang in the middle. Those 2 points that you made, 2 cuts, has to be right flat bang in the middle. And then later you maneuver your thread to suit. So if you find, make sure you're not getting the flap at the back, like I just did. So if you find that it doesn't exactly add up and it's pulling a little bit, that is normal. You're going to sew that together like that. And once that's sewn together, it won't be a problem with the pulling and the tugging. All right. And what have I done here? Same thing. We fold that way. Very fiddly. And we bring it across here. Might need to fold it a little bit more, a bit too much. All right. I'm going to bring it down a bit so it can move over. All right, so see how there's a little bit of gap in there? That you're going to be sewing together, okay? So it might have a little tiny bubble, but not a lot. You won't tell, okay? You won't be able to tell that it's bubbled a bit, okay? That's normal. So go ahead and keep going across your whole bag like this. I'll meet you back when we've got all our pins attached, all right? All right, so did you find you have to play with it and maneuver it a little bit and ended up with something like this towards the end? That is normal. You're going to take that needle out a little bit, just move it over a bit so you can do this part here. You're going to just fold it, tuck it under like that, and there you go. And that's it. All right. All right, so the other thing you need to watch out for is, now very gently, just turning it over, because we're just folding our work through and pinning it down, you may find that some of your loose part will be sticking out. That needs to be tucked in before anything, because you're going to be sewing right across here, hand sewing it all, because we've got little gaps here, yeah? So you don't want the weird part of your lining to show right there. See that? You don't want the weird part, you know, the frilly, messy part, the fray part, if you will. So that's got to be sewn in all very nice. I know it's a little bit of a pest. That's the thing with lining. That's how it works. All right. So at this stage, you're all done. You need to, I can find my needle. Here's my needle. I threaded it off air because, you know, it's such a small needle. And I'm struggling to even find a thread now. The thread is too thin. I should have got a thicker thread, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now you can start anywhere you like. I find it easier to start just in the underarm area. All you're doing, making sure you've got a little knot on your thread, because this is not like the sewing, like the crocheting. Just pop your needle through your lining only at this stage, pulling your needle through. I'm going to have to change my thread later because I didn't put a lot on. You're just going to go to the very tip. How close are we? The very tip of your lining. The very tip of it. And then you're just going to grab some of your crochet. And I don't think it matters if you can see the needle. I think you should try to avoid seeing that needle. But I don't think it really matters. Better not to be able to see it. Do you know what I mean? So check the front. And then you're just working on the very edge of your lining. Remember that section where I said there might be a little bit of cut in there? You really want to get that section, all right? So just go in the round. It's a lot of mucking around here. So I don't want you to sit here and watch me do it. Plus I get it all tangled. Hope it's not happening to you. Okay. Oh dear. And back into the tip of your, that wasn't really the tip, but that'll do, of your lining. And I find this is a little bit too high. This thread right here, the lining, that's better. And back into your crochet. And then, not too tight, back into your lining. You need to do that in the round. I don't want you to sit here and watch me doing it, but go ahead and go in the round, and I'll meet you back when we get to that section that we started right there. So go ahead and keep going in the round. Just being careful, just check your work as you're going along, because you can always fix it if you check it as you're going along. Okay, but if you wait until you've done the whole bag, and then you have to cut the whole thing, that's not fair on you. So check, check, check. Check, check, check. It's like anything, really. All right, off you go. Keep going in that manner. All the way around, all the way around. Get to where we started from, right here, and I shall meet you up. Alrighty, guys, here I am pretty much nearing the end of the row, and I've got this like little gap thing happening here. Let's get up here like so. And don't forget, we are still going towards the edge. Whoops. Actually, you check if you haven't stretched too much. Okay. All right, now I'm actually, there's my first thread right there. So I'm actually at the edge. So what I'm going to do is just pass it through there a little bit, and I've really run out of thread. I've actually changed mine twice, by the way. So there you go. I'm going to spin it around the needle a few times to form a little knot and give it a tug. Then I'm going to go back in, because it's not the end of it, because that can come undone, yeah? So guess what? We're going to do that yet again. Oh, I hope I have enough thread to do all this. Yes, and then even after doing all this, I'm going to weave in and out of my bag, making sure you can't see the needle from the front, and you can't. There. Then we're going to go back the other way just for fun. No, just to keep it more secure. It's not fun. All right, and go back the other way. I'm not checking the front. And I should be. Let's check the front. Oh, good. And away we go. Pop that through, and we can now cut that like so. And there we go. So we're going to bring that out like so. Now just check to make sure it's good. It looks okay to me. Feels okay. Feels okay. Feels good. All right. So stretching it all out. Ah, that's better. Oh, long way around for starters. That's better. But you know, I'm not happy. You know why? Because there's nothing in it. So let's start off by popping in a phone. And away we go. And we're going to pop in my purse. Yes, it's in. Oh, cannot go anywhere without my hand cream. Oh, but you know what? I really, really want my crochet book as well. And what's the point taking a crochet book if you don't take your crochet? So let's take the crochet. Okay. And there's some yarn. Yes, look how much it fits in here. The yarn sticking out. Let me do it up. Ta-da! And there you go. Can you see it? It's just too big now, isn't it? Oh, I just dropped needles. Did you hear that? That's a lot of stuff in there. Look how big it is. Ta-da! Can I bring it out? I can't. Let's take it off the frame. How's that? There we go. You didn't hear that, did you? There it is. There's probably too much in there. But there you go. There you go, guys. That's so heavy. There's far too much in there. Don't put so much in there. Look at the mess I've made. Let's just move it out the way. Nobody can see that. Shh. Okay, we're good. Okay, there you go. And there is your bag. One hexagon bag. We might need a little bit of washing and, you know, locking it all into place. Oh, it's so big. Look at it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share and do all those wonderful things that you guys already do for me. And don't forget to join us here on Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. and Saturday mornings 10 a.m. Melbourne, Australia time for our lives. Thank you so much for watching, and ciao for now.